All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai Bahashem Rachakwadasha, giving me the spirit to do this lesson. Shalom to the elect of Israel, who are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans that the Lord will have mercy on in these latter days. Shalom to the men of the Lord that are prophesying, preaching, and teaching on the highways and byways in sincerity and in truth. Shalom, shalom. And I'm going to go into more the end time prophecies related to the beast and the draconian laws being passed all across the globe surrounding this COVID 19 and and uh, and all the unrest that's going on around the world. That's going to be pretty soon linked to things like vaccines and house arrests and lockdowns and destroyed economies, famines, basically all the plagues. This is the way. This is the means by which these things are getting ready to take place. Through the Spirit, I believe that it says on here. It says no long distance travel till 2022 for Australians, and if population-wide vaccine is rolled out next year, budget predicts. So they're saying they're not going to have any long distance travel in Australia uh, for you know basically 2 years, and that's if the vaccine comes out. So what's to happen if there is no vaccine? But we know how this devil works. Basically, he'll say it's 2 years, and then a year from now he'll say we got to postpone it another 3 years, and then so forth and so on. Before you know it, you know you're in captivity and perpetuity. You got to remember how things work. They said during their time of World War II, they needed to do payroll taxes to help pay for World War II. And what do you have to this day, over 80 years later? You still have payroll taxes, all right? And they said the same thing. The U.S. dollar being backed by gold, we needed to suspend it being backed by gold temporarily in 1971. But what do you have today? You basically have uh, no end in sight of money printing, nothing being backed by gold or any other commodity or precious metal, and they just went on with it. And you have 9/11, where they basically said we need to pass the Patriot Act, we need to do a war on terror, we need to use spy equipment, we need emergency powers to name people as enemy combatants. This is all in the name of protecting people, but you know, look at what's happened. They've used it. Social media has gotten involved with looking at our privacy. They're still in Afghanistan 20 years later. So this is how Satan works, and it's working against his own people, and that's kind of the main point I want to get on here. Uh, it says Australians weary of restrictions are out of luck as the country's new budget predicts social distancing will continue for 2 years, and long distance travel is to remain off limits until everyone is able to get a COVID-19 jab. And that's basically a shot, that's basically the COVID-19 vaccine. So, but it's there in Australia. It's already written into their budget. You have to get the vaccine over there. All right. Otherwise, you can't leave. Think about how crazy that is. And these are mainly Edomites over there in Australia. It says widespread adoption of vaccine for the novel coronavirus would be a prerequisite for Australians being able to travel long distances again, according to the country's new budget that was unveiled on Tuesday. So uh, this is Babylon, the system, the beast, basically folding in on itself, basically turning on itself. This is a major sign that World War III is about to happen. All right, and now how stupid do the rest of these Edomites feel, knowing that their own people are betraying them, because these people have no integrity, man. They're just like women, basically. They'll go wherever they feel like they can be the most secure, or they can get up ahead as far ahead as they can. Um, Since the budget papers attempt to put a positive spin on travel loving Australians being confined to the continent is to pour 250 million into encouraging anyone feeling wanderlust to explore their own backyard. Hey, that's captivity, man. Look how far this kingdom has fallen, you know? And ultimately, man, it's hypocrisy. And everybody fell for this US American exceptionalism, to follow America, to back them up in military. You know, they supported them on the UN, they support them in NATO, they support them, you know, in the European Union. And America is about to prove that it's a total and utter demon, that dragon, that whore, really, that sit on the dragon, because the beast, which is also known as the dragon in Revelation, you the scriptures tell you that there's a whore sitting on top of her, man, and I'll get that in Revelation 17. Uh, but they fell for it, man. You know, and this guy's proven himself to be an utter demon. Let me get Daniel chapter 7, verse 19. I'll start there. It says, "Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of a lion," and that's because he has a massive military. That's what teeth represent. They represent power and and uh, and might and military ability. And his nails of brass, which devoured, break in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. Because America, man, they went conquering all over, man. They defeated, uh, they defeated the Spanish. They defeated the French, and took over this land in America. And they managed to enslave the rest of the world by putting military bases, which are basically garrisons, in all these different countries. They're in Japan. They're in Germany. They're in South America. They're throughout Africa. They're in the Middle East. And he also enslaved them with the U.S. dollar, because the U.S. dollar is the world reserve currency. All right. So he stamped them out. And the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell. All right. So there was 10 horns. All right. Then another came up and defeated the other 3. So that was the French. That was the Spanish. All right. And they took over, and England, basically. And we know England, America is birthed out of England. So even of that horn had eyes, and a mouth that spake great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. So when you look at that word look, it goes into vision. So America had the greatest vision and had the greatest rhetoric. You know, it's basically based on freedom. All the while they were enslaving us. Let's get that word, whose look. This is kazab. It's in Aramaic. Vision, appearance. It's used for vision multiple times. A night vision here, and the visions of the head. All right. So America's vision was greater. It was pleasing to all these other nations. Why? Because it was talking about being a republic or a democracy. It was talking about freedom and free market capitalism, and you don't have to worry about a crown. And the other nations weren't talking about that. The other nations were just monarchies that were just saying pay taxes or else. So what did you have? You had a flood of Edomites coming over to America, man, from all over Europe, and America gave away all of that land, 2 billion acres. All right, 2 billion acres of land America gave away to Edomites flooding over here from Europe, and a big chunk of them came over after the Civil War, and they populated in a lot of that farm area that's now in the Midwest and the western part, all the way from Ohio to to Nebraska, to the Dakotas, Colorado, Montana, all that area just got given away land. It's all farmland now that's owned by Esau Edom. All right, so they bought it. They came over here, and they everybody in the world, even to this day, is backing America. And now look at what America's in the forefront of: enslaving people. Now Australia can't even leave. It says wanderlust to explore their own backyard. Here's $250 million, which is nothing to the beast that they got to sit at home. All right, and we're gonna see what this leads up to in a second. And this is what happened. This is Job 17:5, and I got the NLT on this one because it translates it better. It hits harder. It says they betray their friends for their own advantage, so let their children faint with hunger. So America is supposed to be an ally to Australia, and so are the other nations. But look, they're running a COVID-19 uh, play on them, I should say. This is nothing but a play to just take more control, just like they did with the other major events, 9/11, other world wars, other crises they take advantage of. That's about all I'm gonna get on the article. Um, oh yeah, it says overseas travel of any kind is currently banned until December 17th. That's crazy. And Australia don't have nearly as many deaths as America does. But you see, they betray their friends with their own advantage, for their own advantage. All right. This is Proverbs 11:9. It says, "And hypocrite with his mouth destroyeth his neighbor, but through knowledge shall the just be delivered." And so, when it says here in Daniel, his look was more stout than his fellows, y'all bought it, man. You other Edomites are now suffering, and when the scriptures say that he's gonna cause when he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond to receive a mark, that includes you Edomites. Y'all didn't get y'all didn't get exclusivity. Y'all didn't get pardoned or exempt from it because y'all the same people. Why? Because this is a demon that you're dealing with. This, they're the American psycho. That's what you're dealing with. All right. It says, "And hypocrite with his mouth destroyed his neighbor, because his look was more stout than his fellows." Y'all bought it. Y'all bought it. Y'all bought into the American dream, the vision of America. People still come from all over the world to come to America to partake in their slice of American pie, or or the American dream. All right. It says, "But through knowledge shall the just be delivered." All right. So we see how all this pans up now, that America is or that beast, or that horn on top of that beast, is America. It's a Babylon the Great. Now, when you go to Revelation 17, America is represented as the whore. All right. And this is the last precept. This is I'll start at Revelation 17 and 15. It says, "And he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples," all right, "and multitudes and nations and tongues." So America sitting on all of these top of these other nations, all these different peoples, mainly through the U.S. dollar and their military. All right. What other nation could this be? It says, "And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire." Because ultimately that's what this is going to lead to. These Australians, I'm telling you, they're gonna wild out. There's going to be unrest all over the planet. And this is what the scriptures were saying when it says it would be sedition among men, when it says there'd be nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. All of these things are starting to manifest themselves fully. All right. It says, "For God hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will." So it don't matter if they're the same people, they're all going to turn on each other, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast. until the words of God shall be fulfilled. So the Most High put it in their hearts to go unto the beast, to as it says, give their kingdom unto the beast. It says, and the woman which thou sawest is that great city. So the beast and the whore are not the same exactly. There, the beast is basically in charge. He's sitting on top of the beast, and that's America over all these other nations. Which the beast is again part of those 10 horns, going back to the EU, NATO, basically the Edomite infrastructure, wherever there's white European language is spoken, and it's ruled that those nations are essentially one form or fashion under the beast. All right. It says, "And that woman which thou sawest is that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth." So there's been no other nation that's reigned over the kings of the earth except America. All right. And this COVID-19 thing, pretty soon you're not going to be able to speak about this at all. That's coming pretty soon. But as you brothers can see, this is how things are all shaping up in these end times, that we need to be circumspect. We need to be prayed up. All right. We need to be deadly serious about who we are and what the and what's to come. All right. We should be meditating on the things that's to come. The trial that we're gonna have to face in the hour of temptation, and center yourself, man. Understand what side you're on, because if you're iffy, you're wishy-washy, you don't really quite know. Wait till you get put through the fire. Wait till all hell breaks loose and you get truly tested and tried, man. If you're not of the elect, guess what? You're gonna curl up. You're gonna take the chip. You're gonna fold. You're gonna take the vaccine. You're gonna be rounded up in concentration camps for judgment. So with that, hopefully you brothers were edified. Shalom to all of you brothers. Call Halal Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem Rachakwadash Wa Abad Ball. Shalom.